scheduled over 800 hangings. They didn't hang anyone. They canceled the hangings. That had a big impact.
Yesterday you accepted Maria Machado's Nobel Prize medal. What do you intend to do with it, and why would you want someone else's Nobel Prize?
Well, she offered it to me. I thought it was very nice. She said, you know, you've ended 8 wars, and nobody deserves this prize more than in history than you do. And I thought it was a very nice gesture. And by the way, I think she's a very fine woman, and we'll be talking again. Say it?
The trigger for the Insurrection Act in Minnesota, what are you waiting for?
Well, the Insurrection Act, which has been used by 48% of the presidents as of this moment, the Insurrection Act also, if you look at it, I believe it was Bush, the elder Bush, he used it, I think, 28 times. It's been used a lot. And if I needed it, I'd use it. I don't think there's any reason right now to use it. But if I needed it, I'd use it. It's very powerful.
Residents of the Maduro regime and not with Machado, who has the support of the Venezuelan people.
Well, if you ever remember a place called Iraq where everybody was fired, every single person, the police, the generals, everybody was fired, and they ended up being ISIS. Instead of just getting down to business, they ended up being ISIS. So I remember that. But I'll tell you, I had a great meeting yesterday by a person who I have a lot of respect for, and she has respect, obviously, for me and our country. And she gave me her Nobel Prize. But I'll tell you what, I got to know her. I never met her before, and I was very, very impressed. She's a really, this is a fine woman.
Where are you going? The March for Life is next week.
Yes.
And some pro-lifers are worried about your support for the Hyde Amendment. What do you tell them?
Well, you know what I tell them? You're going to hear about it because I just taped a beautiful piece for them, and they're going to play it. And those are great people. I want to tell you, they're great people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, the president commenting on a number of pertinent topics today as he makes his way to the helicopter we know is at Andrews Air Force Base. Aboard Air Force One now, headed down to Mar-a-Lago for the weekend, but a lot to talk about this Friday afternoon. So much for an easy wrap into the weekend.
Yeah, as he makes his way to Florida, we will digest what we just heard from the president there, particularly on the Insurrection Act. Referenced the number of times Bush used it, 28 times he said. He says he sees no reason right now, but if it is needed, he'll use it. John, so a bit of news as we continue to watch those protests. I believe we still got the shot up outside the federal building there in Minneapolis, John, where these protests continue. We were covering them both of our hours yesterday, same time yesterday. This is happening again. They're still lining the streets there, John.
And I think it bears repeating that these protesters have been encouraged to come out like this by the governor of Minnesota. And while the protests are peaceful right now, as Josh Ritter was pointing out, outnumbered, they can very easily and quickly go off the rails. And we saw that video that we played for you just a short time ago, protesters breaking into the trunk of an FBI agent's car, opening up a gun locker and taking out a rifle. Thankfully, the person who grabbed that rifle has been apprehended. But this is what can happen when these protests get out of control.
All right, John, we are going to zoom in on this situation with the retired NYPD police chief, John Chell, who was chief of detectives in Brooklyn during the George Floyd protests in 2020. He joins us here on set for America Reports Now, and welcome to the program. Good to have you on.
Great to be.
Chief, what do you think when you see these protests and the lack of police, we keep noting, in the streets there? Do they need to come in and get a hold of this situation?
They better get a hold of it. It's getting worse. People are getting hurt. Federal agents are getting hurt. If the mayor and governor do not pull out every resource they have to take back those streets, it's a problem. And I only look at the videos that you see, and I don't see any police. I don't know why people are allowed to be on top of ICE agents when they're doing their work. You got to set a perimeter. You got to block off streets, and you got to send a message.
Well, why has it gotten to that point?
It's politics. You see, the governor and the mayor in Minnesota, they're talking tough curse words one week. Now they want to sing Kumbaya the second week. They give a mixed message. People are emboldened, and I want to see what's happening to people getting arrested. 18 U.S.C. 111. What's happening to these people? The government should be putting it out.
It's a great question. And by the way, New York City may have to deal with a similar situation if and when this comes here. There's also the political rhetoric that is happening in Washington. This is Jasmine Crockett calling ICE slave patrols. This was in a hearing today. Listen.
And people get offended and try to say I'm too black, but the reality is that y'all never let the fact that I am black go. So I'm gonna be clear about one thing. I know my good black history, but this looks like modern day slave patrols. And they have been sanctioned by this Supreme Court.
What does that do to this situation as it's ongoing?
It just stokes the flames and it emboldens people. You know, who gives people the right to block traffic, to throw ice at ICE agents' heads? They got to get this under control, but the rhetoric is making people do silly things, and people are getting hurt and will continue getting hurt unless that governor and that mayor take back their city and put their politics aside and keep everybody safe.
Yeah, and the message from the governor isn't tone it down. It's put your phones up and record ICE's actions. This is Tim Walz saying exactly that.
And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans, not just to establish a record for posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution.
What's the risk in that message?
Risky, but his own lieutenant governor, the person who sits to the right of him, said, put your bodies on the line. Just listen, put your bodies over. These protesters, hey, the governor said, put our bodies on the line. Let's go do it. And we're getting hurt. This has to stop. I wish I could go to Minnesota and help these people out here.
Yeah,
Because I know what I would do as the incident commander in this city when we had 7,000 protesters.
But how, would you be able to when you've got political leadership in the city and the state telling the police to stand down when they're called?
Well, I'd probably lose my job, but at some point, someone's got to step up and protect the protesters, the community, the federal ICE agents, and everyone involved. This is a debacle based on all the films I see.
I mentioned the local leadership. This is the mayor saying practices by ICE are unconstitutional, is his message.
If this were about order, there would be a simple way to restore it. And let me tell you a secret. It's not restored by additional federal agents. Order would be restored, and I will make this prediction, if those federal agents left. As soon as they leave, we will have peace. It is clear that the practices that ICE is using is unconstitutional. They are not methodical. They are not well planned out.
A final thought on that.
It's constitutional. He should do his job and protect his community and let ICE do their job and get the bad people out of his city. That's what he should be doing. Stop passing the buck. You do your job and you protect your city.
Yeah, and the news from the president just a few moments ago on the Insurrection Act, he said he sees no reason to use it right now, but if it is needed, he is willing to. Chief, great to have you here. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
All right.
AOC said this week that ICE should be abolished. You disagree?
Oh, I disagree when I think a candidate for president by the name of Harris said that in the last campaign. I came out, I remember being on Chris Hayes hours later saying I think that's a mistake. So absolutely.
California Governor Gavin Newsom breaking from the far left when it comes to a key issue with ICE. How will progressives respond?
Plus, the White House